Was the first Miami game, you feel like it was one of your better performances of the year?
It's so early. Both teams are a little bit different. We have two players now that are playing minutes that weren't even healthy at the time. So I thought we played well, especially for an opener and the first time being on the road.
Looking at how you'd like this team to develop by the end of the season, do you consider these last 2 weeks to be a regression of some sort?
We haven't played very well, at least in the game on Saturday. But I look at our game 2 Saturdays ago, and had we made free throws and had we gotten a defensive rebound after we made a miss the first shot in overtime with a 3-point lead twice, then the outcome's a little different. I thought Florida State, with their length, especially in the second half, bothered our team. It's been no secret that when teams pressure us and get after us, that we haven't played as well. We've taken a step forward from a year ago, to be honest. But that's something that our team continually has to get better at. And days like Saturday just reinforce that.
What do you want to see out of your guards? You were critical of them Saturday. Going forward, what do you want to see out of your guard play?
Just consistency, but I think you're asking me for production. You're asking me what type of statistics or what are you looking for? Like, I would tell you have to be a learner on the floor. You have to learn. Didn't try to reference you there. They went runner action and we trailed it. I said this after the game, like a tail on the dog 4 times, 5 times. And, you got to be able to learn in the moment. And, we get confused one time. Our freshman switches out. We never switch out. Left Malik on a guard, and he's trying to get back to his man. They bang a 3. We trailed on that runner action 2 or 3 times. They got right in the lane, shot over the top of us. And if you're 6'1" guard, your size ain't changing. You got to be able to figure out a different way and force that cutter to go sideline. So again, being able to learn on the fly, make better decisions. There's a lot that those guys, and not just our guards, but other guys have to do better.
Coach, now that you have a large sample size of what you're talking about with your team struggling against pressure and longer athletic teams, why do you think, A, they continue to struggle with it, and B, what are ways they can correct that moving forward?
Well, it's tough when you're 6'1", when you're 6'2", when you got 6'6" on you and you have long arms. I don't know, what you want me to tell you. I mean, it's just tough. But at the same time, we've got to be better, we've got to be tougher, we've got to be stronger with the decisions that we make. In the first half, we had 5 turnovers. I don't believe that Florida State turned up their pressure anymore in the second half. I thought it was a cumulative effect of, our inability to get stops, our inability in the first half to miss shots around the basket. Were, I think, factors in us wearing down mentally. And that's a problem that this team needs to correct. It's between the ears. Nothing's changing with their size, and they have to understand that. Things have to change between their ears and their chest cavity. And I've got to do a better job of figuring that out in practice and preparing them for those moments and that grind and being able to stay the same all the way throughout. I tell you this, that I'm not down on our team. Our team practices hard every single day. I'd be lying if I came in here and said, our team doesn't practice very hard, we get what we deserve. That's not true. Our team competes. We just have to be better, and we have to be more resilient when we're not better. And that was the disappointing thing on Saturday. I don't see, in my opinion, I don't see a trend. How we played against Kentucky was very different from how we played against Florida State. We were down 12 or 14 points on the road, and we had the grit and the toughness to come back, and we weren't reliant on Jordan. On Saturday, Jordan has maybe his best game of the year, and other guys didn't do what they needed to do. We have to be able to, like I said, be more resilient when things aren't going our way. And that's been an issue for 2 years, and it needs to get corrected. And if this team wants to have a better outcome than last year's team, they'll correct it.
Do you find it somewhat puzzling with all the experience they've got your top 6 players, top 7 players have 650 some odd games of experience. Do you find it a little bit puzzling if they're not better in the areas that you talked about?
I don't know if that experience is what's lacking or what's stopping us. I mean, if you look at Stephen Enoch's experience, he didn't play a whole lot at UConn. He wasn't a factor. He wasn't on the floor in the games. You know, Dwayne Sutton, terrific player. I mean, he's a warrior. He was at UNC Asheville. No disrespect to that program. These are different games that he's playing in. You know, Ryan didn't play a whole lot in his first 3 years. You know, so that experience, it's one thing when you see it on the roster and you say, oh, 5th-year senior. But like, you know, our guys have to be able to lead this team. You know, not play on the coattails of past teams. You know, they're on Louisville's team. They're going to go out being remembered as Team 106. And so we have to be able to be better. I have to be better. And I believe we're going to be better.
I don't know how much attention you pay to social media, but the reaction to Saturday's game was pretty harsh. A lot of it pointed at you specifically.
No problem.
Is there a different kind of expectation here than at Xavier?
Absolutely. No. That would be disrespectful of the place that I was at. You know, Xavier fans are as passionate as anybody in the country, let me tell you that. But it's not as big of a fan base. It just isn't. You know, it's a smaller school. You lived in Cincinnati, Tim, you know. It's 4,000 students versus we have 17,000, 18,000 here. There we go. Just jumped by 4,000. So, you know, it's just it's a bigger fan base. You know, one of the reasons I came here was the tradition. You know, the expectation. That stuff doesn't bother me. What bothers me is getting better between the lines.
Mm-hmm. Do you find that fans here are less patient?
I don't know. Fans. Fans are less patient everywhere.
You mentioned the size, and obviously you need to find answers for this year, or they need to find answers this year. But is a long-term goal kind of like finding more guys like the taller guards, like DJ?
Not necessarily. You know, I think, you know, you look at Auburn a year ago, Jared Harper didn't have a problem dealing with size in the SEC. So we just have to be able to make better decisions. You know, I love my guys, and that's why I'm critical of them, because I feel like, you know, within them they have the ability to get the job done. And so, you know, it's my job to hold them to that.
Sam might have his best game of the year against Miami earlier this year. His lower production lately, has he kind of hit a wall, or is it a tougher competition, or?
A little bit of everything. You know, Sam's got to play better defense. I got to get him on the floor a little bit more if other guys aren't getting the job done. But, you know, it really starts with his defense, you know, and that hasn't been easy for him all year. And if you go back to the Miami game, as well as he played offensively, you know, he was lacking in some areas. So, you know, I've got to allow him to play through it, but at the same time, he's got to get better in that area.
How was Miami different from the first game? And then you did a fairly good job, if I recall. Likes got some buckets late,
Yeah.
but he only had 18, and a few of them were late.
Well, they had one before they lost to Duke the other day, 5 games in a row. You know, they go to Illinois and have them down, you know, almost 30 points. And so they're a team that, you know, really gives their playmakers a lot of freedom. You know, their guards a lot of freedom. Not just Chris Likes, who can, you know, instantly, you know, control a game, but also a guy like McGusty, who tries to play downhill. They isolate him all the time. Silovich, who might be the best three-point shooter in our league, was a one-man terror at Illinois. You know, they're losing to Clemson by double digits in the second half, and you know, make shots down the stretch. So you know, I just think that, you know, we understand who Miami is and how hot they can get, and how often, you know, those guys are trying to free one another up, and they play with a lot of freedom. So we got to do the job.
Coach, I know there's been a lot of guard talk, but Steve really seems to be attacking the basket right now in that last game, and it didn't seem like they were able to get it in there a lot. Was that more of a game specific, or is that something else?
We always want to get the ball into Steve. You know, I think as a senior, he's played his best basketball of his career, and I don't think it's close. You know, Steve has to do a better job when he gets smaller guys on him that don't settle behind, of being a stable target. You know, he tends to show a different hand, and, you know, at one point he'll ask for it here and then there, and our guards are dealing, or our wings are dealing with pressure. And so, you know, the few times that we found him, we just sort of lobbed it up and allowed him to lose post space. But yet he was still able to gather and get to the rim. But Steve's always going to be and needs to be a focus of ours. He needs to be a primary scorer for us and play inside-out basketball when he's in the game.
How much is the full court press becoming involved for part of your guys' game plan, and then as well as responding to it when you see it?
You know, I don't think our turnovers, for the most part this year, haven't been at, you know, versus full court pressure. I think our guys have done a terrific job of handling press. Three or four turnovers against Florida State the other day was simply after we got the defensive rebound and pushed the ball up and made an errant pass. It didn't have anything to do with being trapped or a guy running through a passing lane, just, you know, unforced errors that we can't afford to have happen. But if you're asking me how much we'll press, not a whole lot.
How much do you learn watching film of a game you've already coached?
Learn a lot. You know, I think it's always easy to sort of detach yourself and the emotion of the game when you're watching on film. You know, so I think you can learn a lot. So next time you're in maybe a similar situation, maybe you see it differently and respond to it differently.
Are there things that you can see on video that standing at the court level you can't see?
I think so. I mean, you only have, you know, two eyes. You can only focus on one area. I mean, generally you know what you're trying to do on the offensive end, given a play and the timing of it and where you need the ball and who needs to get open. But, you know, when the shot goes up, for instance, is everybody on your team that's supposed to giving maximum effort to go offensive rebound. You know, those type of things are very difficult to see in the moment. So you sort of delegate that to personnel on your staff and address them at timeouts as needed.
After a game, how long afterwards do you watch the film, and how many times do you watch it?
It just depends on the game. It also depends on, you know, the turnaround that we have until the next game. So I watched Florida State twice. You know, I watched Kentucky more than that. So, you know, but at the same time, after Kentucky, we had a week off, and after Florida State, you know, we're playing again on Tuesday.
Malik has struggled sometimes in these past couple games to finish at the rim. I don't know if it's a timing issue or being stronger with the ball, but as good as Steve has been, how much do you need Malik to?
A lot. You know, he's got to be better around the basket. It's never been a strength of his. And as I told him, you know, we don't expect him to be Enoch and jump over buildings and dunk on people. But as smart as he is on the defensive end, he needs to transfer that to the offensive end. Whether that's a shot fake, a step through, using the rim as a protector from a shot blocker, but absolutely. And he needs to own that in practice so that it becomes more consistent in games.
Jordan drew a lot of the ire following the Kentucky loss. What does it say about his character and how he responded against
A lot. He still needs to do little things. We need more from Jordan. And when I say more from Jordan, you know, don't jump on it like he needs to score 35 or 40. He needs to do his job on the defensive end. It's not to say he didn't, but we need more.
Anything else, anyone?
Thanks.